Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. As we are about to start this snowstorm of ours, and we'll see how it plays out. Right here, we have the large area of winter storm warnings that are up for northeasternmost Maryland, northern Delaware, and most of New Jersey, except for the three southeastern counties, pretty much all of eastern and south central Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey, of course, the Hudson Valley, Connecticut, uh, into Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and even into southeastern New Hampshire and coastal Maine. So, and we have blizzard warnings up for Suffolk County on Long Island and also for Cape Cod and the islands. So very, very busy indeed with regards to what we're looking at and what we're waiting for. Now, we were in the 60s today, in some places the mid 60s, and temperatures have already dropped 20 degrees into the low 40s and even upper 30s, and there's some middle 30s just to the north. So you can see where this cold air lodged not that far away, just waiting for the catalyst to bring it down. It's in the 20s in upstate New York. Not overly cold, but it's cold enough. Plus you have the dynamics of this storm that are going to be at work, and there's even colder air further north that's going to get dragged into all this. So once the snow really gets going tomorrow morning, temperatures are going to drop into the 20s across much of this area here, and everything is just going to stick. So it's just a matter of grinding out how much precip. Now, with respect to the radar at the moment, it's pretty loaded. You got a solid area of precipitation moving into western Pennsylvania, some precipitation down developing ahead into southeastern Pennsylvania and into Delaware, also back through West Virginia and down into the mountains of North Carolina. There's even some thunderstorms moving across parts of Georgia. So, it's a pretty busy and fairly impressive radar. The models seem to be pretty well in line with all this. The low is moving its way across the panhandle of Virginia. So let's look at what the models do. First off, with the GFS model, which takes the low across north central Virginia off the Delmarva Peninsula. You can see it here. Pressure drops to 993 millibars. This is for tomorrow morning. Heavy snow in the darker shades of blue, and that's moving. That's into New Jersey and into the Hudson Valley and into a good chunk of Long Island by tomorrow morning. By 1 o'clock, you've got this deep wrapped up low east of New Jersey, south of Nantucket, this dark blue, very heavy snow falling across Long Island, coastal New Jersey, eastern areas of the Hudson Valley, all of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And then by tomorrow evening, the storm is deepened even further as it heads towards Nova Scotia. And by this time, the snow is just about over. So with respect to snow amounts, with regards to what the GFS did, it lined up pretty well. I think the idea here is that where you see in the purple, I think this matches up well with what I think is going to happen. 6-inch plus snows in the purple zone. And, then you get into the, some 10-inch amounts, 11, 12 across Long Island through Connecticut into southeastern Massachusetts. The other models, there is some variation. The NAM, not that much different, really. The axis of the heavy snow is running east-northeast, west-southwest, so you can see where the shades of white are. A little band there in eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, then across Long Island. The NAM axis is a little further north than some of the other models, and then runs northeast from there. The Canadian model, which did a little bit of a northward shift, it's also very robust with snowfall. Has the back edge of 6 a little bit further to the north, north of Trenton to Sandy Hook, but then it's got this big area of 10 to 15 into Connecticut and Long Island, and just touching back to about New York City, 10 to 15 inches, and then that extends up to Cape Cod into Massachusetts. At this stage of the game, we're at the point where we're just going to, it's time to just play it out. We can go at this all day long with what may or may not happen. Here's the HRRR. Again, big amounts on Long Island, southern Connecticut, some pockets up in the Hudson Valley, 6-inch plus, basically along and north of 195 in New Jersey. Amounts lessen a little bit as you go into Pennsylvania, but still every bit of 6 or 7 or 8 inches. So you know what? It's going to do what it's going to do, and we'll be done with it. So let's widen out and take a look at how much we have of the longer range and see what that has to say, because, you know, there's hints of this blocking pattern going forward. So here's our storm on the GFS as it pulls out. Now there's a low. You can see the action in the Pacific Northwest, and that's moving east with a low that's going to run across the Great Lakes. A bit of a warm front here, and maybe some light snow ahead of it Friday night into early Saturday morning. And then that goes out, and then we have another low that runs into Indiana, another low that's up in the northern lakes. Eventually that becomes a nice little storm east of Cape Cod and brings some heavy snows up to Maine and New Hampshire. So the folks in northern New England are going to do well again, and there's going to be some decent lake effect snows again in upstate New York beginning Sunday and lasting into part of Monday. Now beyond that, we have another system. This is dropping down from the north with a cold front and some cold air. Meanwhile, we have a low that's going to try to get going in the Gulf states that the model's been showing for a while. So a cold front comes through here. So the Northeast is going to stay cold while the rest of the country looks pretty mild. The models were taking this up the coast. There's a big high that's going to try and build down. You know, I'm at the stage here where, you know, the models, you know, sometimes they have something in the long range and they kind of lose it or change it a little bit, and then eventually they go back to its original solution. So you know what, I'm going to want to watch to see how this evolves. And then after that, looks like a little diver here in the Tennessee Valley. I'm not sure what that's going to do with the low off the southeast coast, so maybe there's some promise for something to happen here around mid-month there. Now we're into Friday, the 17th of January. Let me just pull up the upper air charts. And indeed, you know, there's a pretty strong, you know, this is the signature of a blocking pattern here. I'm going to have to watch this closely to see how this plays out. This is going to be very interesting along about mid-month. But you know what? I think we'll get a better view if we go a little wider. And there's your block. Okay, there's your big blocking high up to the north. So everything's going to try to move around it. And you have one low that cuts off and moves out right here early next week. And here comes the next one right behind it. And then that moves out. And then here comes the next one right behind it. So, you know, this is going to be interesting, I think, when we get into mid-month. Let's go back one run and see what it had. You know, same idea with that block. And you can see these upper lows moving along. You also got this system here in the southwest that's going to get ejected eastward. That complicates matters some. And there's that system in the east. That's a nice little diver there that comes down around February 18th, 19th. And then that pulls out, and now you're left with some sort of transitional pattern. It's amazing what this has evolved into from what it looked like that the whole country was going to be in a bit of a blowtorch pattern. And now because of the blocking that's developed and is going to hold in place and kind of flex its muscle for the next couple of weeks or maybe even longer, I think we're going to have more chances. Look at this storm from today, by the way, and you may remember me saying this. Here, there was no big sign of this in the long range, and you know, and I've said this before for you long range folks. You know, a lot of times this stuff, the stuff that matters, pops up inside the 7-day period, and this is a perfect example of something that really kind of showed itself only in the last 5 days. Actually, I'm pretty thankful for it into some respect, because you know, when they start seeing things out 10 days away or 15 days away, if it really, on the rare occasions that they do come to pass, you're talking about it for so long, by the time it happens, you're just absolutely emotionally exhausted. So speaking of exhausted, that's what I am, because I have a long shift ahead of me tomorrow at FiOS 1 News, where I'll be working on the air on Long Island for Long Island and New Jersey. So I'm going to get some sleep. You can check out all the web posts that I have regarding the blizzard warnings and snowfall forecast maps and so much more at meteorologistjoechaffee.com. More on the blizzard warning You can see the latest on that is on weatherlongisland.com, and the cards show up on the top of the video, and you can just click on those and they'll take you to those websites. And of course, download my app, subscribe to my forecast. The app is free for Android and iPhone. Subscription is just $1 a month for New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. You get to carry me around in your pocket all day long. And you get my updates, my forecasts. You don't get computer-generated forecasts or anything like that. You get what I think. You see latest satellites, radars, maps, all kinds of things. So enjoy. And have a great day. If you're in the Northeast, you got a snowstorm. If you're a snow lover, you're going to have fun. And we will touch base with you again during the day on Thursday.